I would request Tribhuvan from the clinical team to give an introduction to the measurement process.
Yeah, good afternoon to one and all. I'm Tribhuvan. I'm from the R2D2 clinical team, and I'm here to present a small introduction part of the measurement process. The user measurement. So basically, the materials that will be required. Basically, the materials that will be required for the user measurements are, as mentioned over here. Um, they require a footstool, require a plinth or a bed, specifically a hard bed, which will be sufficient. The main reason why we need a hard bed and not a soft bed will be like a soft bed will not provide the suitable surface, stable surface while sitting. So it can lead to the user going forward or going backward and tending into a fall. So that is the main reason why we specifically mentioned hard bed. It can be up to 3 inch of thickness. Thickness can be measured by the therapist or the assistant or caregiver by pressing the foam of the bed uh, promptly. Then we need a measuring tape. Then we need writing pads or a hard bound book of 1 inch thickness. Why we are mentioning hard bound is because this will be specifically used in the feature of taking hip width. So while we are doing the hip width measurement or assessment, they should not be bending towards the side or forward, so that they maintain a parallel frame. Both the boards or both the books should maintain a parallel frame. So that's why we're mentioning hardbound books. And the number of people required while doing the measurement, primarily the measurement taker or the therapist is of a must. Then the assistant and the caregiver. If possible, a caregiver, if the user is a female, we need a female caregiver. And if there are three people during the measurement process, apart from the user are present, it will be much more easier depending on the user's ability to sit and balance himself or herself. And the time required for this measurement is 30 minutes. This 30 minutes is being mentioned because we have made 10 lay person non-professionals perform this particular measurement process, and we have noted down the average amount of time they will be consuming to complete this measurement process. So the measurement process consists of 9 components, basically 9 components, but two are most basic. The first one over here is the height of the user. Height of the user, how we are going to measure is we should ask the user to lie down, and the therapist would be sufficiently enough to identify the height of the user. As sir mentioned previously during the assessment process, the height of the user, there is a specific limitation, that is from 410 and 510. This is the height specifications of the user. This range of the height will be sufficiently possible for the Arise standing wheelchair to be prescribed for. Then the weight of the user, and this also I think sir might have mentioned, from 40 kgs to 110 kgs. So the weight of the user is also like it is a priority because Karthik sir had mentioned about the gas spring mechanism or the suspension mechanism, which will make the person from the sitting to standing position. So this is also an important factor. So these two are the basics, such as the height and weight, are the basic factors which are required for the um, uh, fitment process. Uh, the measurement as of starts with the height, hip width, the hip width of the user. So the initially the user should be placed in a high sitting position, fundamental sitting position on a table or on a high plinth. So what else is required is like we have to see if the user is able to place his feet on the floor. If the user is not able to place his feet on the floor properly, we should use something like a footstool or a pillow or any other cardboard or thermocol, so that we make sure that the user's feet are placed properly, so that the thigh will not be going down or will not be leaning upwards. So that is one major factor we are supposed to look into. And next, the assistant plays an important role over here, because we should make sure the assistant is at the backside of the user, so that the user doesn't fall backwards. So because when he's sitting, and it's always a must that the user should be in the presence of an assistant or a caregiver, so that majorly for the safety concerns, so that the user doesn't fall towards the sides or towards the back or the front. So next, yeah, if the user in case is able to maintain his stability, there is a process where the assistant will be holding on to the pads. So if the user is able to maintain the stability, the assistant will be able to hold on to the pads on his own. Or if the user is not able to maintain stability of balance, he's not able to sit properly, then there should be another person, as in the caregiver or another assistant, to help during this process. The complete measurement process will be explained later. So I'll just run through all the components. So next is the thigh length. Thigh length is when basically the user will be on a supine position. He'll be made to lie down and he'll be facing the ceiling. So both the legs will be straight and the arms will be towards the side of the body. And the therapist, while initially the therapist should be the person who's trying to identify the place of he should be able to palpate the popliteal fossa as mentioned in the third image. So why the popliteal fossa is because that is the area where we have to do for the seat depth. So thigh length will be considered for the seat depth. So initially the therapist will be palpating and identifying the popliteal fossa, or in layman terms, the bend of the knee. And before we do that, we should make sure the therapist positions the hip and knee at a 90-degree flexion angle. So with this position only, we'll be able to identify and do the measurement more easily. Next, next is the knee length. Knee length is also having the same procedure. The user will be in a supine position. There will be the assistant who will be present besides the user. The therapist will position the hip and knee at 90-degree flexion, and then the assistant will be holding on to the same position, after which the therapist will identify the patellar tendon, or in common terms, the midpoint of the kneecap. Next one is the leg height. Leg height, we should make sure the user sits on the edge of the bed or the table or the plinth. It is similar to the seat with the first measurement. But here we should make sure there is some clearance between, there is a gap between the bend of the knee and the edge of the seat or the table. This is mainly required because we have to identify the popliteal fossa. So again over here, the footrest is an important component. So the major reason why we have to give the footrest is because there should not be any gap between the feet of the user and the floor. So if there is any, if the user is like tipping or keeping his toes on the floor, so it is better if we provide a footrest. So the assistant should be present at the back to support the user from preventing falls, and the therapist should be in the front side while doing the measurement. The gap is also needed so that during the measurement process, the measuring tape will be placed somewhere close to the gap. So next one is the knee height. This is also the same similar procedure. Over here, we'll be focusing more into the patellar tendon or the midpoint of the kneecap rather than the popliteal fossa, which was shown in the previous slide. The intercondylar distance or the inter-knee distance, in other terms. Here also we'll be showing the user. The user will be sitting in a high-sitting position, and there should be some kind of clearance between the edge of the seat and the knee. So here, initially, the therapist will try to identify the medial condyle or the bony part of the inner side of the knee. So once we do that, the therapist will be palpating this place, and there is a certain distance. There is a certain, as Karthik sir mentioned, there are many. The knees can be adducted together, or it can be abducted away from each other. So depending on the least distance or the minimum distance, we'll be able to take a measurement, as well as we'll be taking for the most or the widest range. So why we are supposed to do this is because then we'll be able to identify if there is any restriction for the client while he's keeping his knees together, or if he's going to keep his knees wide apart. And finally, the back height. Back height position, initially we should make sure there is no slouch while the user is sitting. So if in case the if there is some kind of a slouch, the therapist will go behind of the user and try to push. I think Karthik sir had mentioned this with Nishanti ma'am and the other two demonstrators. So when the therapist was pushing from the back, we needed another person to hold the user from the front, so that while pushing, the user doesn't fall towards the front. So in this case, there should be two people, one in the front and one in the back. The therapist should be at the back initially, and the assistant should be in the front. While the therapist is trying to push and maintain the erect posture, the assistant should be able to prevent the user from falling down because of the force exerted by the therapist. Over here, there is another part where after the therapist is trying to push and trying to maintain the erect posture, he should be able to tell the assistant this is the amount of force. He should be able to show the assistant where to push and how much force is required. So before the assistant does this, the therapist should move himself forward and the assistant should position himself back and try to do this kind of position. After this is done, the therapist is supposed to identify the inferior angle of the scapula or the lowermost bony part of the shoulder blade. So once this is done, the therapist can position his finger at that point and try to do the measurement. So the important part we should consider over here is the amount of rest required by the user. So there are 7 components, 7 measurements that we are going to assess, and in between each measurement, we are supposed to give some kind of a 2-minute break. This is majorly required because there are changes in position, as in from sitting and lying. There are 2 measurements where the user is in the lying position, and there are other 5 positions where the user is in a sitting position. So once we are doing this, as mentioned previously, if the person is having any kind of postural hypotension, then the person might tend to get dizzy. So if this happens, it can be life-threatening also. So we should consider all that, and we should make sure the client is able to maintain in lying position as well as in the sitting position. So we should provide the required amount of rest in between each and every measurement we are taking. And next thing, we should make sure the the inch tape, measuring tape, is always perpendicular and not in a bent kind of state. This will make, if the measuring tape is bent, then there can be an additional value for measuring. There will be extra millimeters or inches which we might consider, or it can also sometimes be the other way around.
So
Basically,
thank you for the overview, Thirubhuvan.
Thank you.
Amrita, can you demonstrate the measurements with help of Manish?
Hello, good afternoon. So I'm Amrita Varshini, physiotherapist working in R2D2 clinical team. Now I'll be demonstrating and providing instructions on how to perform the measurement for the components present in the standing wheelchair. On an introduction, we have 7 measurements that will be performed. The measurement form template is available in the resource section as user measurement form. So first measurement component is hip width. So hip width is used to determine seat width of the wheelchair. So we need an assistant and a model and a measurement taker to help in the measurement process. So the first position for measuring the hip width, positioning the user in a sitting position on a bed or a hard plinth as mentioned. So while positioning the person on a high stool or a high plinth, make sure that the feet is being contact on a footstool such that there is no gap between the thigh of the user and the bed, as well as no gap between the foot of the user and the footrest. Model to be in a comfortable dressing and loose clothing, so because we need parts to be visible for identification and palpation steps. So I request you to remove all the equipments of the wallet or keychain present on your either side of back pocket or side pockets. Thank you. Our model is an able-bodied individual. So considering a user, we require an assistant to be present at the back of the user to support him all the times to prevent any fall in the forward direction. Nishanti, can you please be present at the back of Manish to support him? So Nishanti will be the assistant helping in supporting the model, Mr. Manish. Measurement taker would be physiotherapist, Mr. Dinesh, present. So he will be to the side of measurement. So positioning the person in high sitting, then confirming that all the thigh and the foot are in contact. Second step would be identifying the widest part of his lower leg. So Manish, you need to place your hands on the plinth and not on yourself. Yeah, so you're having a support for yourself. Identifying the widest part is for a user who doesn't have a tightness or contraction in the lower body. We have to first try placing both the knees together. Mr. Dinesh, can you try placing both the knees together? Yes. If it is being possible, then we have to move it a little bit such that you have 3 finger space between both the knees.
I didn't get you.
The person's knees are able to come close together. Therefore, we will position him into a normal position where you place 3 finger space between the knees. Yes. Yeah. So this will be the position. And from here, you will be identifying the widest part. So starting from the rearmost part, you have to use both your hands to feel on both the sides. Yeah, as to whether hip is at the widest region, or you have to come forward and place your hand at the mid thigh. Yeah, this might be a widest region for users, or you can come a little forward to the distal thigh, where this can be a widest point for users. So among these 3 positions, you would have palpated the widest part for the user. So which is widest for Mr. Manish? Okay, so yeah, the proximal thigh being the widest part, you will be using the 2 boards that you had, the writing pads on the widest part on both the sides.
Manish, can you go back a little? I think you're sitting on the edge of the table.
Now, step 3 is placement of pads at the widest part identified by the measurement taker. So, assistant behind will be holding the pad and not the user. Okay, now identifying the widest part in placement of pads, you need to make sure that they both are parallel to each other, such that they do not converge at the back or they do not diverge at the back. It has to be parallel. Or make sure it's vertical to the plinth on which the user is sitting. Yes. After placing the pad parallel to each other, 4th step will be measurement between the inner sides of both the pads from the front. So the measurement taker will have to measure from the inner side of one pad to the inner side of the other pad. Yes. So you need to record this measurement, and measurement taker has to go backwards and perform the same measurement between the pads.
From the back, is it?
Yes, from the back, you need to measure between the inner side of the pad to the inner side of the other pad. Yes, were the measurements in the front and back the same?
There's a mild difference.
Okay, then we need to adjust the pads such that we get both the measurements same. That means the pads are parallel to each other. Yes, can you repeat the measurement in the front and back, making sure the values are same?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the accurate measurement that we get for an individual who doesn't have a tightness or a contracture issue in the lower limb. For people who have tightness, they would have a restriction in bringing the knee close together. For those, we need to position them in the place where they are able to bring it back to the maximum level close. So you can remove the pads, Manish, writing pads to the side. So the second variation that we in finding the hip width is, For people who have an adductor tightness and will not be able to move the legs apart or bring it together, we need to apply pressure on the either sides of the knee and position them to the maximum nearest part where it doesn't cause pain to the user. From this position, if we look into identifying the widest part, we can have widest part can be at the distal thigh area also. So we will be placing the writing boards on the distal thigh region, which is found to be the widest part. And we'll be continuing with the step 3 of positioning the pads and step 4 of measurement. So this is for finding the user measurement for hip width. Next, moving on to the next measurement, which will be performed in the same position, is leg height. So I'm not going in the order of the user measurement because we need to shift positions. For high sitting, we have 5 positions, so we will go through them. So second measurement that we will be looking into is the leg height. So leg height is length of a person's leg will determine the footrest height of the wheelchair. So positioning is high sitting position with assistant placed at the back to support the user. Measurement taker will be on the side of the leg being measured. Because we will have right and left two measurements taken here. Considering the first measurement from right side, now the measurement taker on the side of the leg being measured will now first identify the popliteal fossa. Yes, the bent region between the knee and the lower leg. Do not place the tape now, so we'll have to identify it and place a finger over the region. So you can have another assistant been helping to place a ruler over there. Yes, a ruler or a pen would help. Yeah. So as you identify the popliteal fossa, you place a point of reference as a ruler. Yes. And the next identifying point will be the lateral calcaneum in the foot. So you need to identify the lateral aspect of your heel, the lateral calcaneum. Yes. So these two are the point of measurement. So initial point being the popliteal fossa, you'll place your measurement tape over that region and you will bring it directly perpendicular to the footstool and stop near the lateral aspect of calcaneum, making sure that the measurement tape is parallel to the foot of the user. Yes, sir. The same measurement will be carried on to the left side of the other side of the user. Users who have the same length will have to take the measurement as it is. But for people who have a limb length discrepancy in the lower leg or in tibia, we would have considered people who have a limb length discrepancy up to 1 inch. So for them, we would be taking the lowest measurement that we have recorded. So moving on to the next measurement, which is knee height. So in the same position, we maintain the user a little in the edge of the, he can now go back to the plinth inside because we will not be using the popliteal fossa for referral. Yes. Now the assistant being placed at the back of user, second step would be identifying the patellar tendon because knee height is used to be placed in front to determine the height of knee support for the wheelchair. So the purpose of this measurement is to find the position of knee support at which position it has to be placed for the user. So on high sitting, we will be identifying first the apex of patella. As we find the apex of patella, between the apex of patella and the anterior tibial tuberosity will be the patellar tendon. So you will palpate the patellar tendon and you will have to place a mark over there, either a pen horizontally placed or a mark that is being placed with your finger. Yes. And the second point of referral would be the lateral aspect of your heel. So you will be measuring from the outside of the leg. It should not be on the inside of the leg, it should be outside of the leg. Yes. Yes, you will be measuring to the surface of the footrest. So identifying the patellar tendon and the placement of a referral point, measure from the patellar tendon point to the footstool will give you the footrest height.
Yes.
Okay, you need to measure on the other side also, sir. So this is repeated on right and left. Now completed with the knee height of the knee height for finding the position of knee support for wheelchair. We have completed with 3 measurements. First is hip width, second is leg height for the footrest height, third is knee height. Now moving on to the 4th measurement, which is inter-knee distance. Manish, now you can face the camera and sit. Inter-knee distance is a component being measured to find what will be the space between the knees of the person, determining the space between the knee support in the wheelchair. So inter-knee distance will be measured in 2 different variations, where the person is first positioned in a high sitting, support of assistant at the back of user, measurement taker will be in front of the user. Assuming that the user does not have a contracture or a tightness in your lower limb, we will try to bring both the knees close together. Yes, so the person doesn't have a restriction in bringing the knees close together. So now moving them apart, you need to find or palpate the inner side of the knee, the medial condyles of femur. Yes, you have to palpate both the medial condyles of the femur. Yes, and have a reference point over there being marked. Yes, we cannot do with our hands because we need to measure between the distance. So you need to have a marker on the person, or you can have a referral point. So this will be the second step of identifying the medial condyle of the lower leg or the femur. Now, the third step will be positioning the person's lower leg. In Arai standing wheelchair, when you bring both the knee blocks close together, that is, they're very close together, when you measure the distance between the center of both the knee blocks, it is 170 millimeters. So that will be the maximum or the closest position at which the knee block can be kept. Therefore, on the user, finding the midpoint or the mid section of petal on both the sides, you need to mark and find they are 170 millimeters apart. Between the petal, so the patella is present. You have to bisect the patella, and with the center of both the knees in the front, you need to make sure that the person's leg is positioned 170 millimeters apart. So if they are placed at 170 millimeters apart, so this, now you have to measure the distance between the 2 inner sides of the knee, which will give you the inter-knee distance.
It's around 8 centimeters.
Yes, so this will be the measurement taken for users who do not have a tightness or contracture in their lower limb. For people, the second variation, having tightness of inner thigh muscles, will have to do the next step where you need to bring the legs to the maximum closest position where the person doesn't have pain or any complaints of any discomfort. No, they will not be able to bring so close together. That is why they have a tightness present. Yes, so if they are able to bring it to a minimum position like this, you need to measure the inter-knee distance at this position.
Okay, 15 centimeters.
Yes, and next will be an add-on where the person's leg will have to be brought far apart until which they do not have complaint of pain or pressure. So it has to be brought far apart.
Away, no?
Yeah, away. And the maximum part at which they're able to hold it and they do not complain pain, At this position, you will be measuring the distance between the medial condyles. Yes. So this will be recorded as the minimum and the maximum that is mentioned in your form, because we need to adjust the knee support for these users with the minimum and the maximum measurement. Because for each seat width, the distance or the amount of measurements and adjustments possible in a knee support will be varying. And the last measurement that will be performed in high sitting will be measuring the back height. So back height of a person will be majorly depending on the sitting balance of the person, because backrest height is determined by the sitting balance as well as the posture ability being maintained by the user. To measure the back height for the wheelchair, the user will have to face on the other side. Manish, you need to turn to show your back to the camera. Yes. The assistant should be placed in front of the user to support him. So Nishanti will be holding the user from front and supporting him. Yeah, you can hold the shoulder and prevent any backfall for the user, because the therapist will be at the back of the user and be performing certain push forces applied from back to forward. So the position being fixed and high sitting, making sure that the foot is in contact with the footrest. Measurement taker at the back will now be slowly finding the position from which you can apply your force such that the person is able to sit erect. So the measurement taker will now start. Yeah, so we'll start with 3 positions as an example, sir. So first you will place both the hands at the region above the iliac crest and try to make the person sit erect. If the person is able to sit erect and comfortable, good. Or otherwise, we will have to place our hands at the mid-thoracic region on both the sides and try to make the person sit erect.
Both the hands, right?
Yeah, you have to make the person sit erect from a slouched posture. Yes. And you can also try to do the same from the upper back and make the person sit erect. So either of the 3 will be comfortable for the user. So we need to find at which part and how much force that you had applied has helped him to sit erect and comfortable. As you find this position, considering, for example, it is at the mid back, the user now the mid back will be the point of support to be provided by the assistant. So you will now switch the positions. Assistant will come at the back and measurement taker will be at the side. So Nishanti, you now have to support him at the mid-back region and prevent him from fall in the front. Yeah, you have to support him with both your hands, one on the shoulder, one on the mid-back. Yes. So hold the person such that he doesn't fall forward. The measurement taker to the side of the measuring will have to now palpate the inferior angle of scapula. So trace the outer border or lateral border of the shoulder blade and tip of scapula. Yeah, placing a referral point of your finger or a pen over that region. Yes. So the tip of inferior angle of scapula is being marked, and taking that as the initial point of measurement. Yeah, you have to place the measuring tape from the inferior angle of scapula to the surface of the plinth. This has to be perpendicular to the surface of the plinth, sir. Yeah, it is little cross. Yeah, it has to be perpendicular and parallel to the user's back. Yes. So the same will be performed on the other side of the user. So this is the measurement procedure for measuring the back height of the user. Completing the 5 measurements in the high sitting position, we'll now proceed to 2 more measurements for the wheelchair, which will be done in the supine position. Manish, I request you to lie on your back, your face facing upwards. Yeah. And your leg inside the table. No, leg has to be inside the table. Okay, so now we will be doing the last two measurements, which is thigh length and the knee length. For finding how to measure the thigh length for the user, the length of person's thigh will determine the seat depth of the wheelchair. So the position of the assistant will be to the opposite side of the measurement leg. So Nishanti should be on the opposite side. And the measurement taker will be on the side of measuring leg. Yes. So as the person is positioned in supine, the second step would be the measurement taker holding the heel and the calf and bending the leg towards the hip and maintaining at hip and knee 90 degree of flexion. Yes, so 90-90 position is being maintained. And now this will be handed over to the assistant to stabilize this position. So she has to hold the calf and the heel. Hold it down at the calf and the heel, Nishanti. Hold the heel and the calf. Yeah, you have to hold the heel. Yes. So maintaining position at 90 degree of hip and knee flexion. Yes. The measurement taker will now identify the popliteal fossa. So you have to identify the popliteal fossa. Yes. Yeah. And you have to place a referral point, a ruler that is being horizontally placed outwards. You have to measure from the point of referral to the surface of the plinth. This has to be perpendicular to the user's thigh and parallel to the user's thigh and perpendicular to the plinth. It is not perpendicular, sir. It will be straight. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, perfect, sir. So this measurement will help us to know the thigh length of the user. This has to be performed on the other side also, because we have leg length discrepancies of the femur bone, which will be recorded in the assessment. So for people who have a leg length discrepancy of your thigh bone, you can the allowed difference is up to 1 inch. So if there is a difference of up to 1 inch when you measure on both the sides, you can consider the lowest measurement to be recorded for creating the fitment for seat depth. Next, moving on to the second measurement performed in supine position, which is knee length. So knee length will be performed in the same way, where the measurement taker will bring both the legs to the hip and knee at 90 degree of flexion and hand it over to the assistant to help in stabilizing this position. Now you will be palpating the patellar tendon, because knee height is going to be present in front, and it should not be in a position covering the patella, because it would apply a larger force on it while standing. So palpation of patellar tendon, yeah, it should be done, and keeping a referral point horizontally placed outwards. You have to measure from the point of patellar tendon and to the surface of the plinth. It has to be parallel to the thigh and perpendicular to the plinth. Yes. So this measurement will help us to know at what position the knee support has to be positioned in the arise standing wheelchair. Yes, sir. So it is performed on both the sides and knee height is being noted. So with this, we are completing the 7 user body measurements that we will be performing to use it for doing the fitment process of arise standing wheelchair. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrita, and thank you, Manish, Dinesh, and Nishank. We have come towards the end of today's module, and one disclaimer here is we have created this guide or this training program on an optimal level, but not on the ideal level. So ideally, we would be tweaking the presentation or tweaking the content based on the experience of the person who's attending and how the practice of what they're following. But because we have a heterogeneous group and we are not sure about each and every person here, we created somewhat of an optimal thing. So you can always reach out to us, the RTD clinical team and Phoenix, for more detailed information. Like in this measurement also, if I was you attending the webinar, so I will ask questions on why the knee measurement or why the thigh length is being measured in supine. Why can't it be measured while in high sitting? So so it has, we'll have to do both ideally. So this is not an ideal training guide, but this is an optimal considering a wide variety of skills, people with a wide variety of skills attending this. So we can use the next, we have half an hour more. We can use the next few minutes for discussion. And if there are no clarifications, we can probably close this. So if you get any suggestions after the webinar also, if you get any pressing questions, or if you have any suggestions to make improve this program or the guide or the resources, please email to Phoenix Medical Systems or to rtd2@iit Madras. So there is a question on chat box from Mr. Riyaz Hussain. It's available to sale and service. Someone from Phoenix can clear it.
Yes, we do. We do have this.
We have a warranty of 1 year only on the frame, and yeah, that comes under the service part.
So Mr. Samaraju has given a suggestion. We have suggestion on assessment sheet to make it a simpler format, reduce the number of sheets. Sir, we will connect with you personally and have a detailed call on how to incorporate the suggestions. We will get back to you. So from the clinical team, Amrita can be the point of contact. Probably Amrita, can you post your email ID on the chat box? So if people have some pressing questions, they can reach out to the clinical team. And Nishanti, you can give the email address of Phoenix, Arise at Phoenix. So they can reach out to Phoenix for Arise related clarification. Thank you all for attending today's session. It has been a pleasure to talk to all of you, and a lot of interesting doubts and very essential things have been discussed. A lot of suggestions have been received from your side. So we will keep in touch. So next, whenever the wheelchair unit is available, we will go ahead with the remaining part of measurement, fitting, checkout, and training components of the training model. Thank you very much.
I also want to thank all the participants, all our partners, for actually making time to participate in this webinar. And I'd also like to thank the IIT RTD2 clinical team for conducting this workshop. Thank you so much.